Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 4, entitled The Appearance of Sri Nārada. Text 13. Tathapi bata me dahyo hyatma chaivatmana vibhuhu asampanna iva bhati brahmavarchasya sattamaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaраvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation Srila Suta Goswami continued. Actually, this is Srila Vyasadeva speaking to himself, but narrated by Srila Suta Goswami. I am feeling incomplete, though I myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. I am feeling incomplete, though I myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Undoubtedly, Srila Vyasadeva was complete in all the details of Vedic achievements. Purification of the living being submerged in matter is made possible by the prescribed activities in the Vedas. But the ultimate achievement is different. Unless it is attained, the living being, even though fully equipped, cannot be situated in the transcendentally normal stage. Śrīla Vyāsadeva appeared to have lost the clue and therefore felt dissatisfaction. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Tathapi. Tathapi means although. Bata here refers to defect. Me, mine. Dahyaha, situated in the body. Situated in the deha, so daihyaha. Tathapi bata me daihyo, hi atma chaivatmana vibhuhu. He means certainly, atma, living being, cha and eva, even atmana, myself, vibhuhu, sufficient. So even though Vyasadeva is complete, he is fully equipped with all knowledge and realization, still he is feeling asampanna iva bhati. Asampanna means wanting in, or something which is lacking, not sampannaha. Sampanna means something which is complete. Asampannaha means something which is lacking. Asampannaha iva abhati. It appears to be. So Vyasadeva is saying, I am feeling that something is missing. Though Brahma Varchasya Sattamaha. Brahma Varchasya means the Vedantis. Sattamaha means the Supreme. Even though I am equipped with all that which is required by the Vedas, still I am feeling some incompleteness. Asampanna iva abhati. I am feeling that there is lack of something. So these are the inner thoughts of Vyasadeva. So Prabhupada is mentioning that undoubtedly Śrīla Vyāsadeva was complete in all the details of Vedic achievements. Because Vyasadeva is not an ordinary person. He is the empowered incarnation of the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And he has done a Herculean task of compiling all the Vedas and composing the greatest epic of mankind, that is Srimad Mahabharata. Therefore, he is not an ordinary person. He is empowered by the Lord. So, there cannot be anything which is actually lacking in the person of Vyasadeva. But still, he is feeling here, asampanna iva abhati. I'm feeling something is lacking, Vyasadeva is saying. So, Prabhupada says, if one wants to get purified, the living entities who are submerged in matter, in material consciousness, if they want to attain purification, that is made possible by the prescribed activities, by the samskaras prescribed in the Vedas. But the ultimate achievement is different, Prabhupada is saying. Though one may be following all the Vedic rituals to its perfection, though one may be a great scholar in the Vedas, though one may execute all the rituals prescribed in the Vedas to their complete details, but still, that is not similar to achieving the ultimate perfection of life. Why? As Lord Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvaihi ahameva vedyam. Until one understands that Krishna is the supreme, Krishna is the goal of life, Krishna is the goal of studying the Vedas, Krishna is the goal of performing all the Vedic rituals and sacrifices. Unless one comes to this realization, one's so-called Vedic scholarship and one's expertise in following all the rituals of the Vedas cannot be called as perfect. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabaha. Krishna also says in the 7th chapter that one who is a Mahatma, he is very rare, sudurlabaha, who has come to the conclusion that Vasudeva sarvamiti, Vasudeva is everything, Krishna is the ultimate goal. Unless one comes to this conclusion, one cannot be said to have achieved perfection. So Vyasadeva, undoubtedly, he has glorified Krishna, he has glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Vedas, Upanishads, in the Puranas, in Mahabharata, in all of these places. But he has not completely described the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has not completely described about pure devotional service. And that is the actual reason why Vyasadeva is dissatisfied. So, Prabhupada is saying, unless one attains this ultimate achievement, one cannot be situated in the transcendentally normal stage. So, what is the normal stage for all the living entities? As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has revealed, Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nitya Dasa. Realizing our actual constitutional position, that I am eternal servant of Krishna, is actually the normal transcendental situation for each one of us. Until we attain that realization, whatever we may achieve cannot give us ultimate satisfaction. Now, Vyasadeva, even though he is an incarnation of the Lord, by apparently putting himself in this kind of a dissatisfied state, he is teaching all of us that unless you take up pure devotional service, you cannot be completely satisfied. You may be Vyasadeva himself, an empowered personality, empowered incarnation of the Lord. But if you don't take up pure devotional service, then you will not be able to experience real satisfaction. So, Prabhupada says, Śrīla Vyāsadeva appeared to have lost the clue and therefore felt dissatisfaction. He appeared. Actually, it is not possible because he is empowered incarnation of the Lord. Vyāsaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyāsa Rupaya Vishnave, we say. He is not different from the Supreme Lord. And Vyāsam Vishala Buddhe, we pray to Vyasadeva in his prayer, we say, Vyāsam Vishala Buddhi. He is the one who has got the most expanded knowledge in the material world. So, but he appears to have lost the clue, Prabhupada is saying. This is just like asampanna iva bhati. He's feeling something is lacking. Let's go to the next verse, text 31. Kim va bhagavata dharma na prayena nirupitaha priyaha paramahamsanam ta eva hi achyuta priyaha. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Śrīla Prabhupada. Vyasadeva continues to think, this may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfected beings and to the infallible Lord. Purport. The dissatisfaction which was being felt by Śrīla Vyāsadeva is expressed herein in his own words. This was felt for the normal condition of the living being in the devotional service of the Lord. Unless one is fixed in the normal condition of service, neither the Lord nor the living being can become fully satisfied. This defect was felt by him when Nārada Muni, his spiritual master, reached him. It is described as follows. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So as I just mentioned, Vyasam Vishala Buddhi, he has got the highest pinnacle of knowledge. So how can something go unnoticed? How can Vyasadeva miss something? So here in this verse, he himself has understood, he has realized what is that missing point. He has compiled so many voluminous Vedic scriptures, but nowhere he has actually described in detail, in an uncompromising spirit, the process of pure devotional service. Yes, Vyasadeva has described about devotional service, about bhakti to Krishna, but everywhere he has sort of compromised in his presentation. He has spoken in such a way as to inspire or make people think with a fruitive mentality. He has encouraged the fruitive mentality of the people in this material world. But pure devotional service, it has to be free of all fruitive mentality, material desires, isn't it? If one has to attain ultimate satisfaction, one has to engage in pure devotional service. And what is this pure devotional service? Jnana karmadi anavritam. It has to be free from the defects of fruitive mentality and mental speculation. Both of these are said to be the contaminations in devotional service. This is called karma contamination and jnana contamination. What is that karma contamination in bhakti? Performing acts of devotional service with an intention of receiving some benefit for oneself. That's called fruitive mentality or karma contamination in bhakti. Oh, I'm following Ekadashi Vrata so that I can be blessed with good progeny. I should have good children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. For this purpose, I will follow Ekadashi Vrata. This is an example for karma mishrita bhakti, devotional service tinged with the contamination of fruitive mentality. Now, this kind of devotional service does not please the soul, nor it pleases the Supreme Lord. One cannot attain complete satisfaction by performing such karma mishrita bhakti. It does not satisfy the Lord also. And jnana mishrita bhakti, or the jnana contamination in bhakti, is the tendency to speculate on the scriptures and the instructions given by the Lord. For example, when the Lord says that surrender to me, some great scholars, they have speculated that when the Lord says you surrender to me, it is not to the person Krishna, but within Krishna there is an unborn light To that light you have to surrender. This is called jnana contamination in bhakti. This is called mental speculation. So when one follows these kind of mental speculations, one will not attain complete satisfaction. Nor this kind of speculative bhakti pleases the Lord. So bhakti, if it has to please the performer as well as the Lord, it has to be free from these two contaminations, jnana and karma. These two contaminations have to be free. But Vyasadeva, while presenting the Mahabharata and the Vedas, he has actually presented the Karma Kanda section where one's fruitive desires are encouraged. Already, people in this material world have forgotten Krishna. They have forgotten their pure devotional service to Krishna. They have forgotten that they are eternally parts and parcels of Krishna. They have to render devotional service to Krishna. This has been forgotten by the people in this material world. And after reading these Karma Kanda sections of the Vedic scriptures, where there is encouragement, oh, if you want to get a beautiful wife, then you perform this vrata. If you want to get good progeny, you perform that yajna. If you want to go to heavenly planets and enjoy a long duration of life, there is another kind of yajna, you can perform these. So Vyasadeva has mentioned all these kinds of fruitive activities in the Vedic scriptures. So when people read this, instead of getting motivated to take up pure devotional service to Krishna, they again indulge in performing these material fruitive activities, which will put them into a cycle of birth and death, put them into a web of material desires. So, because of this reason, Vyasadeva himself was dissatisfied even after compiling the Vedic scriptures and composing the Mahabharata. So, Vyasadeva himself is telling here, Kim va bhagavata dharma na prayena nirupitaha. So, is maybe because why I am dissatisfied? Because maybe Bhagavata dharma, the path of pure devotional service, na prayena nirupitaha. I have not properly directed the living entities in my scriptures to take up the process of pure devotional service. I have not properly elaborated on the pure devotional service, on the Bhagavata Dharma, which can alone make people satisfied. I have not given this. Priyaha Paramahamsanam Tayeva hi Achyuta Priyaha. Actually, it is Bhagavata Dharma alone which is dear to all kinds of living entities, to the Paramahamsas, the perfect beings, as well as to Achyuta, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is called Achyuta. Achyuta means one who never undergoes Chuti. Chuti in Sanskrit means to fall down. Achyuta means one who never falls down from his position. He is called Achyuta, the infallible Lord. This is the name of Krishna, Achyuta. And in the Bhagavad Gita also, the famous shloka where Arjuna asks Krishna to park the chariot between the two armies, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapaya Me Achyuta. O Achyuta, O Krishna, please park this chariot, station this chariot in between the two armies. I want to see who all have come to fight against me. So Arjuna addresses Krishna as Achyuta in this verse, in the first chapter, and Prabhupada explains why is Krishna referred to as Achyuta by Arjuna here, because the Lord, he might have taken the position of a chariot driver, which seemingly appears to be a very low position in this material world, but he has taken up that position because of his unfailing love for his devotee Arjuna. So the Lord, who never fails in showing his love and affection towards his devotees, he is called Achyuta. So the word Achyuta has got two meanings. One is the infallible Lord, the Lord who never falls down from his position, the Lord, even when he comes to the material world, He does not become subjugated by the three modes of material nature. He is always in a transcendental position. Therefore, he is called Achyuta. That is one meaning. Another meaning of Achyuta is he never fails in showing his love and affection towards the pure devotees who have completely surrendered unto him. Actually, it is because of the love of Arjuna, it is because of Krishna's affection and love towards Arjuna, who was his great friend and devotee, that Krishna took up the role of a chariot driver on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Therefore, he is referred to as Achyuta in that context. So here, Vyasadeva is saying, I am not satisfied. This may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to the infallible Lord. In an uncompromising way, I have not presented the standard pure devotional service in my Vedic scriptures, even though they are voluminous, they are very uh, large, but I have not presented pure devotional service in an uncompromising way. And that is the reason for my dissatisfaction. So immediately, Vyasadeva himself could understand the reason for his dissatisfaction. So as we were discussing in the yesterday's session, so Vyasadeva is showing us that a devotee should not be too sure about his conclusions. He should not be too sure that he has attained perfection or his activities are completely perfect. A devotee should never think like that. A devotee should always consult with his spiritual authorities. And Vyasadeva is teaching us just that important principle. A devotee should not be too sure about his own mind. We should always take a second opinion, a third opinion. We have to consult with authorities. So Vyasadeva has now diagnosed himself. He has done some kind of a self-diagnosis. First of all, he said, I have compiled all this because of my... Vyasadeva has compiled all the Vedic scriptures for the benefit of the Kripanas, the miserly people in this material world who are not spiritually inclined. And then, after compiling all this, still he is feeling incomplete. And now he has done a self-diagnosis and he's saying, maybe because I have not described pure devotional service to Krishna. That is the reason. So Prabhupada is again pointing out in this purport that unless one is fixed in the normal condition of service, neither the Lord nor the living being can become fully satisfied. So in this material world, different people try to attain happiness, they try to attain perfection and completeness through different processes. Somebody feels that by having a lot of material wealth, which can buy avenues for material sense gratification, one can be happy and satisfied. While some others say money is not so important, having name and fame, having people, that is more important. So for some people, dhana bala is important. For some people, jana bala is important. They think that all these things will make them satisfied, isn't it? While some other people pursue knowledge, they say, okay, these are all not so great, but knowledge is something. So they are intellectuals. They seek after knowledge. They want to find out the secrets behind nature and natural phenomena. And these are the scientists who are driven by intellectual pursuit, intellectual thirst. So that is one category of people. So different people try to satisfy themselves through different ways. But as far as the Bhagavatam conclusion is concerned, until one comes to this point of rendering pure devotional service to the Lord, one cannot be completely satisfied. So, unless one comes to this point of realizing one's loving relationship with the Lord and rendering service to the Lord, this is actually called the normal condition of the soul. All other conditions are actually mental concoctions, self-imposed conditions. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a beautiful verse. It says, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataeva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta. In just two lines, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving the conclusion. He's saying, a pure devotee of Krishna, he is Nishkama. Nishkama means he is not running behind material desires. He has no material hankerings. Therefore, he is always Shanta. He's peaceful. He's at peace. He has no, he has no qualms in life. He is very, very peaceful because he's fully happy by rendering devotional service to Krishna. So he's called Nishkama. He doesn't desire anything for himself, nor does he work hard to satisfy his own senses and mind. So he's always interested in serving the Lord, and that's the state of Nishkama, being desireless. Being desireless means not to desire anything for personal sense enjoyment. That is called being desireless. So pure devotee is always desiring how to serve Krishna, how to increase my service to Krishna, how to become more fixed up in devotional service. So therefore he is technically Nishkama. Therefore he is always Shanta. Whereas the others, Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi Kami, Sakali Ashanta. Those who are not devotees of Krishna, they have to fall into one of these three categories. Either they must be Bhukti Kamis, Bhukti means material enjoyment, Bhukti Kamis, or they must be Mukti Kamis, those who have become frustrated after repeated pursuits of material enjoyment. They say that enough now, I don't want to pursue any material pleasure. Now I want to merge into the Supreme. They are called Mukti Kamis. That means that is also a desire to merge into the Supreme, to get liberation from the cycle of birth and death. That is also a desire only. Because any desire which is not aimed at satisfying Krishna is said to be a material desire. So, even desiring to actually get liberated from the cycle of birth and death and to experience the bliss of getting merged into the Brahma Jyoti, called experiencing Brahmananda, that is also actually in a way material desire only. In the third canto of Bhagavatam, it is explained, Kapila Deva explains to Mother Devahuti, what is the nature of a pure devotee of the Lord? Pure devotee of the Lord, even if I myself go and give any of the four kinds of liberations to my pure devotees, they don't accept it. Diyamanam na grananti vina matsevanam janaha. Kapila Deva says, even if I go personally and give, award liberation to my pure devotees, if that liberation is bereft of rendering loving service to me, my pure devotees na grananti, they don't accept. That is the gold standard of pure devotional service. So, even having a desire to become free from the cycle of birth and death, in a way, that is also a material desire. So, Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi Kami. Siddhi, the third category is Siddhi Kamis. Siddhi Kamis are those who want some mystic perfections. Oh, I should be able to become lighter than the lightest, heavier than the heaviest. All these are called Siddhis, Siddhi Kami. The moment anyone has any kama, any desire, either it is desire for material pleasures, or desire for merging into the Brahma Jyoti, or desire to attain mystical perfections, all of such people are always ashanta. Their mind is always disturbed. Because the moment you have some material desire, you become so attached to it, you work hard, you hanker after it, and you're worried about it, whether I'll get it or not. There is always a kind of uncertainty. So therefore they're always ashanta. Whereas a pure devotee of the Lord, he has no any hankerings for himself. He only wants to render service to the Lord. And he knows the Lord is maintaining me. I have surrendered to him. How the Lord wants to maintain me, that is left up to him. Huh? So he is fully surrendered to the Lord. Unless we come to the point of complete surrender to the Lord, pure devotional service, we cannot be really peaceful. Just the recent incident of the air crash, a very tragic event, the flight which was supposed to go from Ahmedabad to London, it had about 240 people, including the crew members, 242 members totally. And as soon as the flight took off, you know, the flight crashed into a building, and that building was actually a hostel building, a medical college hostel building. It was somewhere in the afternoon at 1:30 p.m. All the students were having their lunch, and the flight came and crashed right into the building. And all the people who were in the flight, they were all burned. Their bodies were charred, and that's because they had carried a huge amount of fuel which caught fire, and the whole thing burnt up. And they were not, the bodies were so much burnt that no one could recognize their faces, who was who. That was the kind of tragic death that unfortunately all these people uh, had to go through. And also, some of the students who were having their lunch in that hostel building, they also died, and so many people were injured. So this incident, uh, many such incidents of late. As I was telling you the other day, recently we were talking about it. The RCB victory ceremony also, 11 people died, and many such things are happening. So, what is the learning for us as practitioners of Krishna consciousness? How do we see all such things? So, one thing is death is so certain, no one can avoid death. In fact, there were some influential people also in the flight. There were some foreigners. There were Britishers, Britain citizens were there, and some Portuguese, some French. They were all there in that flight. They had all come for a vacation. They would have not thought, in their rarest of dreams, they wouldn't have thought that this would be their last flight in their life, isn't it? So very unfortunate. But how do we see this? Yeah, death is certain. No one can avoid death. Huh? And you can just imagine the kind of uh, fear that all of them would have gone through in the last few seconds of their life, last minutes of their life. So much of fear, everybody shouting, everybody, mind is disturbed. When death is unavoidable, it's there, and you can't dodge it. What will be the state of mind? Imagine if a devotee, if let's say one or two devotees are there in the flight, if they had practiced chanting the holy names of the Lord, and during those last moments, if they had chanted the holy names and helped others also to remember Krishna, then that would have been a wonderful, mm, glorious death, in fact, isn't it? But many people, as we discussed, they're only interested in material pursuits, money, name, fame, all of these. So people think that chanting the holy names, practicing bhakti, it is all waste of time. It does not give any benefit in our life. So why should we waste our time? Why should we read Gita? Why should we read Bhagavatam? But all their money, all their wealth, name, fame could not save them. And there is no guarantee, and there is absolutely no doubt that all of them would again take birth in the material world. And there's no guarantee that they would get a human form of life. They will get a human form of life next. So 240 of them, plus some of the students also, they also passed away. So we should become, we should practice Krishna consciousness in such a way that we should be so confident. Let death come any moment in my life. I am ready. I will fix my mind on Krishna and give up my body. That should be the way we should practice devotional service. Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada how to increase the quality of my chanting. And Prabhupada said, you should chant as though this is the last day of your life, as though you don't have a tomorrow. When you chant in that mood, you will automatically have full attention. You will take your chanting so seriously. So that should be the mood of your devotee. Because death can come any time. Those students who were actually having lunch, like any other day, they were probably sitting in their most favorite seats and relishing their afternoon meal. They had no clue that in a few moments they will die. So death can come to us any moment, isn't it? We may be sitting happily in our houses, in our offices, we may be working or whatever. In no time, a bomb can be dropped on us and the end, isn't it? So we must be conscious. Prabhupada quotes Chanakya Pandit and says, Smara Nityam Anityatam. A devotee should always be conscious that any time it may all be over, any time the game might end. So before we meet the next death, we have died many times before, but this time should be something different. We have died many times before and still we are in the material world, which means we have not we have not understood what is the actual proper exit way from the material world. We have not got it. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, before you meet the next death, attain perfection, fix your mind on me and come back to me. And even though in the 6th chapter Krishna says, if you are a devotee and you attain some amount of perfection in this life, I'm assuring you that in the next life you will take a human form of life so that you continue from where you left off in the previous life. But Srila Prabhupada says, no, don't take that risk. Even though Krishna is saying that, don't take the risk because it is so uncertain. We don't know what kind of surroundings we will be born in, what kind of family, what kind of friends we will have, what kind of association, whether we will have an association of devotees or not. It's all very risky. And as Kali Yuga is proceeding, more and more degradation of people's consciousness. And it is so risky to even think that I will come back again and continue my journey. So Prabhupada always said, in this life itself, you complete your business of Krishna consciousness and go back to Godhead. So we have to become intelligent. We have to take up Krishna consciousness very, very seriously. This is not a optional. It is not some time pass. Krishna consciousness and chanting and hearing Bhagavatam, all these things are not optional. These are not some time pass. These are not some manoranjan. These are actually the most important activities which a human being must perform on a daily basis. Develop our love for Krishna, right? Don't chant casually, chant with full attention. Who knows, that may be the last mala in your life. Never know. We always make plans. Oh, tomorrow I will chant this many rounds. Tomorrow I will do better chanting. Oh, tomorrow I will read Prabhupada books. Today I don't have time. Who knows that tomorrow may not come? It may not come. What is the guarantee? So therefore, this incident is definitely, if we want to take it as a reminder, we can take it in that way. And we must definitely take our seriousness of in Krishna consciousness to the next level. Otherwise, we never know. Let's see the last two more shlokas in this chapter we will discuss. Text 32. तस्यैवं खिलमात्मानं मन्यमानस्य खिद्यतः कृष्णस्य नारदोऽभ्यागात् आश्रमं प्रागुदाहृतम्. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Śrīla Prabhupada. Suta Goswami continued, as mentioned before, Nārada reached the cottage of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyāsa on the banks of the Saraswati just as Vyasadeva was regretting his defects. Purport. The vacuum felt by Vyasadeva was not due to his lack of knowledge. Bhagavata Dharma is purely devotional service of the Lord, to which the monist has no access. The monist is not counted amongst the Paramahamsas, or the most perfect of the renounced order of life. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of narrations of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Although Vyasadeva was an empowered divinity, he still felt dissatisfaction because in none of his works were the transcendental activities of the Lord properly explained. The inspiration was infused by Sri Krishna directly in the heart of Vyasadeva, and thus he felt the vacuum as explained above. It is definitely expressed herewith that without the transcendental loving service of the Lord, everything is void. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, everything is tangible without any separate attempt at fruitive work or empiric philosophical speculation. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, Tasyaivam Khilam Atmanam. Tasya, his, evam, thus, Khilam, inferior, Atmanam, soul, Manyamanasya, thinking within the mind, Hidyataha, regretting. So, what was Vyasadeva going through at that situation? What was he experiencing? He was feeling himself very inferior. Within his mind, he was actually regretting, oh, what a blunder I have done. Hmm? I should not have done like this. I should have actually described Krishna Bhakti nicely. I should have described the transcendental pastimes of the Lord very nicely. Oh, I have done a blunder by not so doing. Manyamanasya khidyataha. Kheda. Kheda means regret. So he is expressing, he was feeling regretful. Krishnasya, here Krishnasya refers to Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasadeva, the full name of Vyasadeva, as we have discussed before. Krishnasya Narado Abhyagat. Abhyagat means Narad Muni came there. See, Sanskrit is a very beautiful language. You know, when somebody comes to your house without, uh, prior notice, he is called Atithi. Atithi. And when somebody comes to your house after being invited by you, he is called Abhyagata. So Abhyagata and Atithi, there are two different things. Generally in English we use guest, but guest doesn't convey really what is that. Guest means are they invited guests? So we have to add an adjective before. Invited guests and uninvited guests. Huh? But here, Abhyagat, Narad Muni is referred to as Abhyagat. That means, looks like Vyasadeva was actually thinking, if Narad Muni comes, my spiritual master comes now and he actually directs me what I have to do now, it will be so nice. So Vyasadeva must have been thinking like that naturally because he is very obedient to his spiritual master Narad Muni. Even though he is an empowered incarnation, he is also accepting a spiritual master. So when he was thinking like that, Narad Muni appeared. So Abhyagat, Naradaha Abhyagat. Narad Muni came there. So it was not surprising for Vyasadeva because Vyasadeva was expecting that his spiritual master should come and guide him. So Narad Muni is not a Atithi here, he is Abhyagata. He is a much wanted guest, a much wanted visitor for Vyasadeva. So ashramam prak udahritam. Ashramam in the cottage, in the hermitage of Vyasadeva. So Narad Muni appeared there. So it is actually the mercy, spiritual master is actually the mercy incarnation of the Supreme Lord. It is a spiritual master who opens our darkened eyes and fills our heart with transcendental knowledge. The famous prayer from the Gautamiya Tantra, which we chant very often, Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. And to such a spiritual master, I offer my respectful obeisances. So, a spiritual master is one who guides us on the right path back to home, back to Godhead. He gives us the instructions which are needed for our practical application in our daily life. How to mold our life in such a way that we can attain perfection in this life. And as such, a spiritual master has to be a pure devotee of the Lord. If the spiritual master is not anything other than a pure devotee of the Lord, he will not be able to guide his dependent disciples back to Godhead. So he must be a great devotee himself, a self realized soul who is always engaged in devotional service to the Lord. And only such an ācārya can guide his disciples back to Godhead. So we all know Nārada Muni is such a great personality. We already read about him in the 3rd chapter. He is also one of the empowered incarnations of the Supreme Lord. He is empowered with the power of devotional service, and he goes everywhere. Prabhupada describes him as the transcendental spaceman. Without any restrictions, he goes to all planetary systems. He talks not only to the devatas, but he also openly speaks to even the demons. In all assemblies, he is openly welcomed with a red carpet. Dhira, dhira, priyau, priya karau. That is a symptom of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is not disliked even by the adhiras, by the people who are not sober. That is a specific qualification of a pure devotee, and that is exemplified in the personality of Nārada Muni. So Nārada Muni reached the cottage of Vyasadeva on the banks of river Saraswati just as Vyasadeva was regretting his defects. Now, actually, there is a reason why Vyasadeva compiled various Vedic scriptures and encouraged people to perform karma kanda rituals. That's because not everybody in the material world is interested to or motivated to take up pure devotional service at once. Not everybody is in the mood of directly surrendering to the Supreme Lord. The material world is predominated by karmis. Karmi means fruitive workers. One who wants to work hard and enjoy the fruits of one's own labor. He is called a karmi. So the karmis have to first be brought into the Vedic multi-program system, multi-life program system. The gradual process of purification of the living entity, first through the karma kanda rituals, and then to jnana, and then finally to bhakti, and then to surrender to the Supreme Lord, then coming to the stage of rendering pure devotional service to the Lord. So it's a multi-life program that Vyasadeva thought of, that Vyasadeva is presenting in the Vedic scriptures. Because not everybody is interested to take up Krishna consciousness directly, therefore he thought, first let us bring them into the scope of Vedic understanding. Let them first appreciate little bit at least about, oh, Vedas are so nice, you perform this yajna, you really got a benefit that you desired, so that they will develop some faith and slowly they will come to the path of devotional service. That was the plan of Vyasadeva. So in that way, Vyasadeva was not wrong. But since he was specifically dissatisfied, Nārada Muni appeared there and he diagnoses further what was the actual defect of Nārada Muni, of Vyasadeva, right? So, until one comes to the point of rendering Bhagavata Dharma, which is actually the constitutional position of every living entity, one cannot attain complete perfection. So we already have discussed these points earlier also, what Prabhupada has mentioned in this purport. Although Vyasadeva was an empowered divinity, he still felt dissatisfaction because in none of his works were the transcendental activities of the Lord properly explained. Now, when it comes to Mahabharata, in Mahabharata, definitely there is description of Krishna and his activities. But then, mostly people perceive Mahabharata's Krishna as a politician, as a person who guided the Pandavas to the path of victory, and a person who actually sometimes employed tricks to protect the Pandavas. This is the perception once a person gets about Krishna when one reads Mahabharata. Even though, yes, there is description of the Vishwarupa of the Lord and all of that, uncommon activities, but the actual actual loving dealings of Krishna, especially with his pure devotees, that is not so much highlighted in the Mahabharata. So Vyasadeva was saying, he was dissatisfied because in none of his works he completely described the transcendental activities of the Lord and his dealings with the pure devotees. And that is why he was feeling the vacuum, right? So one more important point it is mentioned here. It is definitely expressed herewith that without the transcendental loving service of the Lord, everything is void. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, everything is tangible, Prabhupada is writing. In fact, this is very similar to what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Shikshashtakam, where he says, Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me. In the absence of Krishna, I feel the whole world to be vacant. Yugayitam Nimeshena. And I feel even one moment of time to be like a long period of time, like a yuga or a period of 12 years or more. So a pure devotee, he has attained this perfection of always being conscious of the Lord. And that is what the Bhagavatam is offering to us. How we can also come to a stage where we always remember Krishna. But without rendering service to the Lord, everything is void. That is the conclusion. That is the reason why Vyasadeva was actually dissatisfied. Now the last shloka of this chapter, text 33. Tam abhijñāya sahasa pratyuthāyāgatam munihi pūjāyām āsa vidhivan Nāradam surapūjitam. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Śrīla Prabhupada. Sutta Goswami continued, at the auspicious arrival of Sri Nārada, Sri Vyasadeva got up respectfully and worshipped him, giving him veneration equal to that given to Brahmaji, the creator. Purport. Vidhi means Brahma, the first created living being. He is the original student as well as professor of the Vedas. He learned it from Sri Krishna and taught Nārada first. So Nārada is the second ācārya in the line of spiritual disciplic succession. He is a representative of Brahma, and therefore he is respected exactly like Brahma, the father of all vidhis or regulations. Similarly, all other successive disciples in the chain are also equally respected as representatives of the original spiritual master. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Appearance of Sri Nārada. So, it is mentioned here, Tam abhijñāya sahasa. Abhijñāya, seeing the good fortune of Narad Muni's arrival. Tam abhijñāya. So, Narad Muni's arrival was a great fortune for Vyasadeva. Sahasa, sahasa means all of a sudden. Pratyuthaya, uthaya means he woke up, he got up from his seat. Pratyuthaya, he got up. Agatam Munihi, upon seeing Narad Muni, who had arrived, Munihi, Vyasadeva, Pujayam Asa. What did he do? He worshipped Narad Muni. pujayam asa. And how did he worship? Vidhivat. So Vidhivat has got two meanings. One is the meaning that Srila Prabhupada is giving here. Vidhivat means with the same respect as offered to Vidhi. Vidhi is one of the names of Brahma, because Lord Brahma is the one who decides the Vidhi, the fate of every living entity who is born in this material universe. Therefore, his name is Vidhi. That is one meaning. Just like one worships Vidhi, Lord Brahma, Narad Muni was worshipped by Vyasadeva. The same respect that is due to Brahma was offered to Narad Muni, because Narad Muni is a direct disciple of Lord Brahma, and he's also the Manasa Putra. He is the uh, son born of the mind of Lord Brahma. Therefore, same respect was given. That is one meaning. If you take the meaning Vidhi as Brahma, Vidhi, if you take it as rules and regulations, then another meaning will come that Vyasadeva worshipped Narad Muni according to the rules and regulations given in the scriptures. He, being an ācārya himself, he followed the standard procedures, rules, and regulations recommended in the scriptures on how to worship the spiritual master or a pure devotee when he arrives at your place. So, in both the cases, the meaning is very apt and instructive to us, that when a pure devotee, the spiritual master, what kind of respect and honor should be given, what kind of reception must be given. So, Naradam Surapujitam. And who is this Narada? He is not ordinary person. He is Surapujitam. He is worshipped even by the great devatas. And such a personality, who is also the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, he has appeared. And therefore, naturally, Vyasadeva, with great love and veneration, with great devotion, he has given a proper reception suiting the position of Narad Muni. Generally, the Vedic reception means first is asanam. You ask the person to come and sit down in a good position, in a good seat. And then padhyam. Padhyam means to offer water to the feet of that personality, to wash the feet of that personality. And then one must also give arghyam. Arghyam means some water to wash the mouth of that person and hands of the person. And then you also speak a few sweet words. This is the Vedic standard of welcoming. In fact, all of these are included in the Shodasha Upacharas of the deity worship. In the deity worship also, there are 16 Upacharas, Shodasha Upacharas, which includes all of this. You must have heard the devotees chant Idam Asanam, Swagatam, Suswagatam. Like this, there are certain Upacharas. Swagatam, Suswagatam means by words you are welcoming them. Please come, O Lord, please come. Idam Asanam, here is your seat. O Lord, please accept this seat. Then Idam Padyam, this is the water to wash your lotus feet. Idam Arghyam is the water to wash your mouth. Like this. So, Arghyam is for washing hands. Then Idam Achamaniyam, this is the water to wash your mouth. Esha Dhupaha, these are some incense sticks we have burnt to actually give you a fragrant experience, a fragrant reception. Esha Deepaha, now these are some lamps which we are burning in your honor to welcome you, some lamps. These are all the Vedic standards of receiving the Lord. In fact, Arati means to welcome the Lord. When we perform Arati, it is like welcoming the Lord by doing all these upacharas. So Narad Muni respectfully worshipped Vyasadeva, giving him veneration equal to that given to Brahmaji himself, the creator. So Prabhupada explains in the purport that Lord Brahma is the first student, original student, as well as the professor of the Vedas. See, the way Prabhupada is presenting all these great personalities, it's so unique and so special, isn't it? When you generally see a movie, you know, many movies or TV serials in which generally they present Narad Muni in a very comical manner, or Brahma, sometimes he's presented in a very cheap manner. But how Prabhupada is presenting to the whole world, he's presenting Narad Muni is not an ordinary person. He was worshipped just like Lord Brahma was worshipped. It's not ordinary. And here it is said Lord Brahma was the first created living being. He was the original student as well as the professor of the Vedas. He learned directly from Krishna and he taught Narada Muni first. So Narada Muni is the second ācārya in the line of spiritual disciplic succession. He's a representative of Brahma. Therefore, he's respected exactly like Brahma, the father of all vidhis or regulations. So Brahma is called vidhi because, or vidhata he is called, because he is the father of all the vidhis, all the rules and regulations. And Prabhupada is saying a very important statement at the end of the purport. He's saying, similarly, all other successive disciples in the chain are also equally respected as representatives of the original spiritual master. So every ācārya in the parampara, the bona fide ācārya, should be worshipped, should be respected as a representative of the original spiritual master, Krishna and Brahma. That's the position of every spiritual master. So being a guru is not a cheap thing. So therefore, a guru, when the moment somebody is a guru in the disciplic succession, that means he must be worshipped in par with Brahma, in par with Narad Muni, in par with Vyasadeva, in par with Krishna himself. So it's not an ordinary position. Therefore, a conditioned soul cannot occupy, an ordinary conditioned soul cannot definitely occupy the position of the spiritual master. So, in this chapter, even though the name of this chapter is the appearance of Sri Narad Muni is appearing only in the last shloka. The name of the chapter is Appearance of Narad Muni, but Narad Muni appeared only now in the last shloka, 32nd, 33rd, two shlokas he has appeared. Now, what will Narad Muni say to Vyasadeva? What instructions he will give to Vyasadeva? And before that, what kind of chastisement Narad Muni does to his disciple Vyasadeva? All of these are very interesting. And this is going to be discussed in the next chapter. Chapter 5, which is called Narada's Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Very, very instructive, very important. When we study this chapter, we get to know what led to this compilation of Bhagavatam and what should be our mood while studying Bhagavatam. What is that we should look for in Bhagavatam? What is presented to us in Bhagavatam? All these things are there in this chapter 5. We will begin reading chapter 5 in the next session. So anyone has any questions or any comments quickly, one or two we can take. Okay, thank you very much for your valuable time. Today, even though we started at 9 o'clock, all of you have joined, so that's so nice. I hope that you're all liking these sessions. I hope you're all enjoying reading of Bhagavatam with me. So if yes, please you can show an emoji, maybe like or heart, whatever you want to show, so that there is some kind of interaction from all of you also. So I think some of you must be searching where are the emojis. Okay. Okay. Vishwanath says, yes, Prabhu, very well. Thank you so much. So the very purpose of these sessions is to relish Bhagavatam and also create an interest in all of us to read and relish the wonderful purports written by Srila Prabhupada for these Bhagavatam shlokas. So Another devotee is saying, very good, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you very much. So please do attend our sessions regularly. My desire is that someone said the maximum limit in Google Meet is 100 or 99. So my desire is, when is that day going to come when we will have 99 or 100 participants attending our everyday 8 p.m. Bhagavatam session? So please spread the word with your friends, relatives who are also interested. They can also join us. More people should hear Bhagavatam, more people should hear the presentation of Srila Prabhupada and also become convinced about the importance of Krishna consciousness. That is the whole purpose. So please do invite your friends, relatives, acquaintances, your colleagues, and to these sessions. Thank you very much. We'll close here. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय विश्व गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu Krishna.